I am DirectingPete and welcome back to another great tutorial. I'm so glad to have you here. We're going to be going over creating basic NPCs in your games, okay? This doesn't have to be just for a battle royale map. This could be for an adventure map or any kind of map you're making. What I'm going to show you is using all of these combined mechanics, how you can create your own NPC that could even grant you an item when you talk to them. We're going to be using a button device, HUD device, item spawner, and a barrier to create this. All right, so first what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like when it works properly. So you see the talk button there. You talk to him. I'm the watch guard. I make sure no bad characters enter the mountain, and then he gives you a really cool scope rifle. Now, the cool thing is if you talk to him again, he will not give out that same gun twice. So if somebody else goes to that location trying to get that gun, they're not going to get it. You can change it so multiple people could get it as well, but for a BR, I want it to be a first come, first serve. So let's dive into the tutorial. It takes just a moment to like this video and subscribe if you think I'm doing a good job. You can always change your mind later, but go ahead and give that a like and subscribe. And yeah, let's get into it. Here we go. First things first, we need to decide where we're going to build or place our NPC. For me, I've decided that it's going to be in Trapper Towers, which is a location on my map. And I realize I don't have an NPC at this location, so this would be a perfect place to add one. So I'm going to put one right here at the kind of entrance of Trapper Towers. And the first thing you need to decide, in my map, for instance, I use gnomes, but there are tons of little creatures that you can use. Going through all the prop galleries, you might be able to find something that's unique to you. You may even decide that you don't need an actual creature. Like you could have things like a talking horse, even though it's a toy horse at a playground. So what? You could go ahead and grab this piece like so, enlarge it, and have it talk. I mean, literally the options are endless. But for this example, we're gonna use a gnome. And you know what? We're gonna add a helmet to the gnome as well because he created Trapper Towers. That's what I've decided the storyline is. So we're gonna add a little bit of detail to our gnome. So let's go ahead and dive into that. We're gonna create him now. All right, so we have the helmet on our gnome, which is awesome. And now we can move on to the next step. What we need to do now, if you're doing a battle royale anyway, where you can break things on the map, you need to go ahead and place a barrier down. That's important. Now, you don't have to use a barrier if it's an adventure map where you're not able to break anything, but if your map does involve being able to use pickaxe destruction and you don't want them to be able to pickaxe the gnome, then you'll place down a barrier like so. All right, and it may take a couple times to place the barrier correctly, especially after you resize it. So we want it to be invisible. We want the width and depth to be 0.5, but we need to leave the height at 1. We're gonna leave it like this. The idea is you don't want it to be too big because people are gonna be building. They don't want barriers in the way. It could ruin gameplay. So as much as you want to tell story, you also have to respect the game. We have the barrier in place. Now we need to move on to the next part here. We're gonna grab a button device. Now guys, it doesn't really matter which way the button's rotated because we're gonna be adding a radius to it. You can just aim it towards him just for good measure, but I'm going to show you why that doesn't really matter. So just put that near him. Then we're going to go to the advanced all options tab and go through these menu items. I pre-selected all of this. I did all the work in advance. So we're just going to go through it and I'm going to show you what I did and just match these settings, but I'm also going to explain to you why I did each of these things. So instant interaction time, yes, I want it to be instant. I want them to be able to see the message right away. Activating team any, so anyone can activate it. Times can be triggered infinite. Like if you didn't read it the first time, you want to read it again, sure. Delay, do not set a delay here. Reset delay and delay can get very confusing. So leave delay to none because that means if you hit interact, it will wait 5 seconds or however long to actually do the trigger. So reset delay, however, we want it 5 seconds. The reason we want this at 5 seconds is if somebody spams the button, they cannot have the message pop up 100 times. They have to wait 5 seconds. So you want to keep that there to avoid a headache down the road. So that reset delay is really important at 5 seconds. Enable at game start. Yes, we want it enabled. That's perfect. Interaction text, talk. So that's just like you're approaching and it says talk, right? It indicates to the person, okay, I want to talk to this. No. Visible during game? No, absolutely not. You don't want to see the button. You want to make it seem like you're talking to the gnome, so make that invisible. Interaction radius, I put it all the way to max because there's a barrier. We have that barrier there to protect the gnome from getting hit or shot at. You want to make that interaction zone pretty big so people can talk and actually hit it where the barrier may be blocking it if you don't make it big enough. Now, the last one here, you want to go to when interacted with it transmit on channel and then choose a channel. I chose channel 47 because that's the available channel I have. What I can do is actually show you a really cool tip on how to see available channels on your map. So let me go ahead and show you that now. So if you go over to My Island, the My Island tab in Game, you'll see a channel browser there at the bottom. You can get there with a controller as well. Click channel browser, and then when you scroll all the way down, you can see what channels you've used and what's available. So when I did this, I realized channel 47 was free. So I used channel 47, which was next on my list to use. And that's it for the button, guys. Now moving on. All right, so we need to grab another device for our NPC, the HUD Message Device. This is important. This is how the NPC is going to communicate to the person triggering it. So we're gonna go ahead and place that down. It can be anywhere near the gnome. I usually just put it all within the encompassing sphere. And then we come up with a message. I'm gonna go ahead and type out a message here that I think is pretty cool. And you can come up with your own message. I have been working hard to build this city. Write whatever you want in there, and then we can go ahead and move on with the settings. So then next up, message recipient, we want it to be triggering player. We do not want it to be friendlies, enemies, or all, right? Because if we do any of that, what's gonna happen is everyone will see it, or a good select amount of people will see it. So triggering player will only be the person that clicked the button. Time from round start absolutely needs to be off. Otherwise the message is just gonna pop up randomly after round start, which you do not wanna have happen. Display time, we wanna set that to 5 seconds. If somebody wants to see it again, they can trigger it again. Now remember how this coincides with the reset delay on the button? I set a 5-second delay with a display time here of 5 seconds, which means you can only trigger the message again once the gnome is finished speaking and the message disappears. This is perfect. So if somebody needs to see it again, they can, but you can't spam the button. Text style, I set to default. You may want to look around and see what fits you, but because the gnome's not really saying anything all that important, default's perfect. Message priority, once again, my gnome isn't saying anything critical, so I'm gonna just leave it at normal, and you can play around with these settings, see what works best for you. Play sound, I like it at important. There is one that says message. I don't like the sound of message. You may, but I like it when it's important. I like that noise. I think it's good. It's a nice indicator that you're speaking to the gnome. Placement bottom center, I like it that way. I like the way it's placed. Play around with the other settings. Maybe you want it somewhere else on the map or showing up somewhere else. Visible during game, absolutely not. You don't want to see the box in the game because that's basically the vocal box for the gnome. Showing when receiving from channel 47. Yeah, that's the channel I chose, remember, and it says triggering from the button. So when I said trigger when pushing the button to channel 47, this is saying receiving from 47. So what I've just done is I bound the button and the HUD message device together. We're gonna go ahead and test out that NPC real quick here. And now when I hit talk, I've been working hard building this city. I hope you enjoy your visit. So that's great. We've created an NPC that talks, but what if we want that NPC to deliver a gift when you interact with them? Let's go ahead and add that mechanic now. So we're gonna go into the devices menu and we're gonna go ahead and grab the item spawner. This is the last device we need for our NPC. So we're gonna grab that item spawner and we're gonna go ahead and drop it down near the gnome. It doesn't have to be on top of them, just somewhere near them. So when you talk to the gnome, you can clearly see the item spawner. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is choose the weapon that we want to have spawned. In this case, I might do a railgun. I think I'm gonna go with a railgun for this. So we place the railgun into the item spawner, and now we need to adjust some of the settings. Items respawn, no. Random spawns, off, because it's just one item. Visible during games, off. That does not mean the gun is not visible, but it means that that bottom base isn't visible, that circular bottom base. I don't want to see that. Time before first spawn, never. We don't want it on instant because we don't want to see it. We want to set it to never because we don't want to see it until it's triggered by the player. Time between spawns, never. I never want to see this gun again because I don't want other people to get it on my BR map. First come, first serve. If you did want more people to get it, then you can say times between spawns. You could set a time limit. I'm going to ignore all the cost of items. I'm going to leave bonus ammo for weapons on. Run over pickup, I'm going to leave off because people may have chosen settings where they have run over pickup already on. You don't need to force that on anybody, so I just leave it on off. Item visibility 1x, yes, we're going to leave that at 1x. Enabled at game start, yes, we want to leave it enabled at game start. It won't be showing anyway. Continuously spawn items, no. So then the final thing is we need to choose a channel here. The channel we're going to choose is going to be spawn item when receiving from, and once again we're going to go to our channel that we chose, 47 in this case. And so now when we click on this, let's go ahead and test it. And so we're going to go ahead and click talk. And when we talk to him, we get our gun. There's our rail gun. It says the message. But notice when we talk to him again after the reset delay, there you go. you don't get that same gun again. It's not there anymore. And once again, you can see because we have the barrier on, I cannot hurt the gnome even with the rail gun. So even if you shoot him, he's protected. You can still shoot the things around him. Guys, if you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me know in the comments below what other tutorials you would like to see me create. And until next time, take care, everyone.